Hey guys, this is Jason for the Alliance Project. Sorry about not, I have a couple of videos I got to upload for this weekend. I apologize that I didn't get to do it at the time I usually do. I apologize, I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about. I was just interrupted. Yeah, so apologize for not putting up the videos. I had a couple videos I want to upload, and I'll have them uploaded by tonight or tomorrow. It's the 20th, so by the 21st I should have a couple videos for you guys. But point being, I've seen a lot of information out there, and it's been getting worse. There's like a disinformation campaign, it seems to me, a complete disinformation campaign, keeping people from the truth, okay? I don't know why. There's 2 points in my, 2 reasons in my point of view that people would do this. One being, they want to hide the truth so we don't have any kind of understanding or recollection of what's to come or what may come, or they're hiding information to just kind of keep us dark and keep us in the dark and kind of avert the problem. Meaning, if we murder these people, we do this, we do that, we do the cover-up, then there's nothing to if they successfully avert the situation, essentially, and then make it whatever they can for collateral reasons, things like that, they cover it up, right? Because nothing is written in stone, nothing, not one thing, right? They can't do these type of things. But if they found out that we completely have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to this, that, or the other, then we wouldn't trust them at all, no matter what the hell they were talking about. So I wanted to get this out here that this whole Planet X, Planet 9, all that stuff, the orbits they give for the Planet 9, Planet X, they're totally false. I went over that in an earlier show. I went over the paperwork. It's how they're making sense, touching on some points, but the rest is just complete, total garbage. They do not give you any legitimate numbers or anything. Now, the part that I'm going to say that most people won't like hearing, and what I've been holding back from talking about for a very long time, is the possibility of Comet Hale Bopp being Wormwood, Nibiru, part of the Nibiru system, part of this system, Wormwood from the Bible, essentially. But Hale Bopp being a very key part of this, okay? Now, I want you to understand and listen to me with an open mind, okay? Hale Bopp is only a title given from the science. They gave the astronomers the name, okay? So it doesn't mean that Hale Bopp is Nibiru, doesn't mean anything, right? But let me go ahead and show you. I got some charts up here. Okay, so we know Robert Harrington's work, right? And Harrington was closely watching a very certain part of the sky around Sagittarius and Orion, allowing for the precession. That's why the precession from Sagittarius into Orion. If you take about 2,000 years, that the sun's going to be behind a different symbol at that point, another astrological symbol, like Sagittarius or Orion. So that's the point, is it's a big clock. It takes about 2,000 years to get through one of the cycles or hours on that clock. I'll get more into that if you really want it. But from everything I understand is they were very much plotting and researching the course of Comet Hale Bopp as part of this system, okay? They went through the math. They had sent out the Voyager and Pioneer probes, and anyone, anywhere can look up anything they can about 1983 launch, the 1982, between 1982 and 1983. Anything you hear about the Pioneer Voyagers is at least absolutely true as in the public eye as to what they were trying to tell us. They didn't know at that point, in my mind, there was something to legitimately cover up or be scared of, right? Like, we all know that national security is just another word for cover up, right? Government's just another way to say better than you, okay? So you have to take my terminology and use it very loosely, because I'm only using this for data points, for parts for you to look at and understand, okay? I'll add it right now that Hale Bopp, when Harrington was watching it, had a huge chance of actually colliding or hitting the Earth, causing a lot of damage. There was a tail drag for about 3 months. There's a tail drag that slowed it down in its trajectory, and space trajectory is everything. So it actually missed us by about 3 months. And then we remember Heaven's Gate, which was a group of about 39 very, very talented computer programmers that were working simultaneously together on making the most secure firewall that they can, that the world has ever seen, right? When they're talking about like leaving this world, that's kind of the aspect that what they were meaning in the first sense when they were talking about it. Hypothetically, they were literally talking about blocking off, creating a firewall of security, like being safe from the outside world. And then I believe totally that their website was hijacked. I completely believe that none of them committed suicide. I honestly don't believe that was suicide at all. You call me crazy, but that sounds to me like fucking paramilitary death squad coming to murder these people. One at a time you enter the building, one at a time you're fucking wiped out. There was no autopsies released on anyone. They weren't even done. The autopsies weren't done, period. And they were all neatly laying there with fucking dressed up, just the whole aspect of it. Drinking the Kool-Aid, this, that, and the other. It was almost like to make it be unappetizing for the people. It made it so, okay, these people are crazies, and I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want to listen to them. I just blam. They don't want to be associated with the crazies. Anybody ever heard talking about a cult, okay, is fucking insane, and they sound that way, right? Blam, right off. That deters people and think, this guy is fucking nut job, get away from him. He's going to go drink the Kool-Aid, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. But you guys know me for a long time, and you know I would never ask you to drink the Kool-Aid. So if you take everything into consideration, I know it's hard to see because of the ecliptic plane right here. But call me Hale Bopp. If I can find you a good one here. Had 2 tails. 2 very, very bright tails. Right? And I'll just go ahead and read this into you a little bit. Have you share some knowledge, right? But the point of what I'm trying to get at here is there's a cluster, right? There's a cluster of stars. There's a certain point at which this thing is coming from, okay? Let me, by the way, this thing was huge. It's called the Great Comet, literally, and they found it 2 years before it came. Not buying it. Not buying it. Not buying it one bit, okay? It was visible for 18 months with the naked eye, okay? With the naked eye, had 2 tails. Came through the sky. And the tail drag, the fucking drag of this thing is the only thing that kept us from even having this conversation right now, okay? it did not have the tail drag, it would have caused fucking major problems. We probably could have had brand new Grand Canyons, fucking tidal waves pulled up from the fucking ocean basins and whatever, because this is a plasma discharge from a comet, electrical universe. This is how things work. We have a giant capacitor at the center of our solar system. It's called the sun, okay? And these batteries go, the planets act as batteries. These things go around. They collect energy, discharge it. That's probably exactly how the Grand Canyon and all these things are made. They literally just, bam, plasma scorched. Motherfucking scorched earth. It's not weather erosion. There's signs of erosion, yes, but that's just like on Mars, right? All right, so here what we're going to share with you is reading between the lines, okay? The comet was discovered by Alan Hale and Thomas Bopp, okay? He spent hundreds of hours searching for comets, okay? He lay near the global cluster of M70, the constellation of Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius. You guys remember that? So there was no other deep sky object near M70 and consulted the directory of known comets, finding that there were none supposed to be in that part of the sky. Okay, so meaning these are astronomers and they've been watching these things and there's nothing supposed to be there, but they could see it with their naked eye. You didn't own a telescope at all. Okay, you realized they spotted something new and blam, they don't send telegrams back then, blah 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 blah. But the idea of it is they seen it between Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, that is incredible because you can't, most time you cannot see a comet with your naked eye until it's between Mars and Jupiter, when it gets enveloped with a plasma field and ignites the atmosphere, if you will, of this comet. Atmosphere coming from the Greek terminology, meaning like world soul, the enveloping soul around the body, not the atmospheric aspect, meaning it has an atmosphere, sustains an atmosphere. Not in that sense. I was taking it back to the Greek. Yeah, so it was 6 times the size of Halley's Comet, right? From their numbers. And like I said, they could see it completely between Jupiter and Saturn. I'll keep on going, but I want to really show you. The internet was it was like a phenomenon at this time that was just taking off. Okay, so it played a big part in the whole transition into this, right? Now, I want to show you that this indeed was what Robert Harrington was watching and researching. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video and pull up some papers. Okay, so here I just wanted to give you a quick, because I found this real fast, correlates with what I was sharing. I wanted to show you how to spell these guys' names. Chuck Schramek, right? He was working with Harrington, died of the same cancer, and same rapid onset of cancer at around the same time as Harrington did, okay? We all know that he was the chief observer at the U.S. Naval Observatory, basically the king honcho of astronomy in the United States at the time. In 1991, the chief astronomer took an 8-inch telescope to Black Birch, New Zealand. He definitively calculated to be approaching from below the ecliptic at an angle of 40 degrees. By doing a blink comparison, a technique originated by the famed discoverer of Pluto, Clyde Tombaugh. Dr. Harrington proved that Planet X was indeed inbound to the solar system. Harrington sent back reports of his ominous discovery, but died when the reported was reported to be esophageal cancer, which before he could pack up his telescope and come home. Right? They had a very highly publicized press conference that was getting ready to happen as he came home. And all of a sudden, he just has throat cancer. Wait. You just said he was backpacking through fucking the terrain of New Zealand. Yeah, that right there, and it shows you that you have nothing wrong with you. You are in great physical shape. The dude's built like a linebacker. Look at the guy. He's not like some nerdy little fucking scientist. Look at him. He's a big man. You know, he's in shape. You can tell. Okay, there's nothing right here that tells me he has cancer or anything, or even going to develop cancer in the next 20 years. Okay, call me a conspiracy theorist. You know. But the point of it being is Chuck Schramek, the Houston news host who took photos of Nibiru's companion, Hale Bopp. So this is it's been out there for a while. People understood this because the original paperwork, the original conspiracy theorists said this, and that's why you will not see much about it on YouTube, because these people have been dying. These people have been releasing this information, and it has been destroying their livelihood. Okay. They ain't doing it for ad money. They're not putting goddamn fucking videos up of their opinions to have people, you know, feed them. They're not putting fucking Google AdSense money into their bank accounts. They're not capitalizing off of donations, this, that, the other. These people had a career. They had jobs. They had wife, children, and a future ahead of them. They came out with this knowledge from a completely logical fucking left brain aspect where like they completely thought it out. They weren't connected with the spiritual side. They didn't talk about Nibiru or how these ancient cultures told us exactly about Kakab Nibiru and Zeos, as they told us. They gave us the name of the stars, the planets, fucking everything, where they came from. They gave us a complete, there's actually a disc, and it has actually been defaced at some points over time, but there's a clay disc that we can show that they had an actual three-dimensional representation of travel. So travel through space and time. They were showing how to travel through space on a two-dimensional object with like vector symbols. So to understand this, you have to draw 6 lines. You have to make like literally 6 points of contact, like 6 coordinates, 6. You have to indefinitely know like 3 places on Earth and 3 places in space. Draw the lines between them, and kind of like where the triangulation is and occurs is. I'll get more into that, but I'll show you this artifact if you guys would like to see it. But I can prove without a doubt that these ancient people were desperately trying to tell us something. If you understand the fact that they had the first written language, the first everything, and this came right out of the Stone Age, all right? And we have proof of fucking rotary tools and everything you can imagine. Not only that, a lot of these, like you go to Luxor, trust me, I'm a carpenter, I've worked in this. You cannot recreate that with today's technology without using computer guided robotic assistance. Okay, symmetry does not work that way. It cannot become symmetrical without having a super advanced understanding of geology, geometry, and what you understand. Like when I'm saying that, the rocks, the aspect of the rocks, what you're working with, the material you're working with, and the geometrical side, meaning the symmetry, where you need to go from with this. But this is in a 3-dimensional representation, so even if they planned it out on a 2-dimensional representation before they did it, there was information that was this had to be computer guided. A lot of the stuff had to have some kind or form of artificial intelligence leading the hand. The human hand has error, the human eye has error. We cannot replicate these things. Okay, so the evidence lays all around our world. And once you accept that they had these knowledge, they had the exact number of periodic table of elements and how they evolved from each other, exactly how our solar system works, gravity works, electromagnetic powers works, strong and weak nuclear forces work, when they had an understanding of all this, solar physics, you name it, they had it. Once we understand that, we accept that they had this knowledge right out of the Stone Age, then we have to accept where they say they received it from. And they received it from the people of the stars, their creators, their gods. They gave them this knowledge. And once you read the stuff, you understand firsthand, blam, okay, there's more to this. They're not lying. Because why go through the trouble of creating a language to lie, to write a story? It doesn't make sense. The first thing you were desperately trying to perceive and get people to know was your history, your facts, your origins. You were trying to solidify what you knew for future generations to know more. You were doing what any normal one-celled organism does, and it is passing on the essential information to the next generation, okay? That is the purpose of life. It's the purpose of ourselves, and our physical manifestation is to pass on information to the next generation, so we do not lose what we've came so far to gain. Okay, I do not want fear porn, and when I looked into this, I was hoping I would find out that there was very much in Nibiru. There was this other system. I was hoping I would find out that there was, and it doesn't affect us anymore, and whatever happened, it just out the door, right? That's not the case, okay? So, NASA planetary geologist, while studying ancient asteroid impacts in Australia, he was a prolific discoverer of comets. He had access to the southern hemisphere data, as did Harrington. He could see that the vast comet Hale Bopp, and knew, as did NASA at the time of its original discovery of Hale Bopp, which must have been about the same time that Harrington was viewing Planet X, that Hale Bopp at that time was on a near direct collision course with Earth. It later fell behind schedule due to the tail drag and missed us by nearly 3 months, but the point is that Shoemaker must have known this and was going to go public, spill the beans on all of it. Like Harrington, he was well known and would have carried many scientists with him. The story of his death is the most ridiculous lie you've ever heard. There was no autopsy. There was no information available other than there was a Jeep crash and he died on his way to a hospital. His ashes were blasted into outer space. It was by a NASA satellite for a tribute. That's just a tribute. You gotta believe me, and I wish you were there. Sorry, some Nations D. But here, let me go ahead and pull up some more. Hey guys, I wanted to show you something cool, by the way, because I got a new tattoo this weekend, and I thought it would be cool to share. Dark gray around it is where it looks kind of like watercolor. That's just where the ink's leaking out. But these are Valkyrie wings. It's a soldier's angel, if you will. It was in Norse mythology. They flew over the battlefield, picking out the righteous dead, carrying them to Valhalla to have them prepare for Ragnarok, which is the end times. And Ragnarok, I believe, completely spoke about this Planet X tribulation, this day of cleansing or purification that is about to come upon us. I'll make a video on that as well. So yeah, that's a good thing to touch on. Quick video on that. But yeah, they were in Norse mythology. The only way you got into heaven, Valhalla, was through dying in an act of violence. Not necessarily being violent, but defending to be either protecting or to be a protector, or protecting, fighting for what you believe in, right? But if you break down the word Valkyrie, it comes from in the Old Norse tongue. It's the slain, like Valk, and then they had the other part of the word, which is essentially to choose, the chooser of the slain. It's a symbol of protection. So these beautiful angels, right, flying over the battlefield of life, kind of keep their eyes on you. It's a symbol of protection for the righteous man, right? It is a Viking's angel. It's a Norse angel. But yeah, I wanted to share that. Sorry for getting off subject. But okay, let me zoom this down. I want to pull up one more thing to make this perfect. So, all right, so this was released yesterday by NASA. They're giving us the okay, so who'd have thunk it either way? But the point being is, Caltech researchers have found evidence suggesting there may be Planet X deep in the solar system. And with this, they show you this huge video that tells you there is no Nibiru. There's never, ever been a Nibiru. And they tell you all this and that. But I beg to differ because I can go back and look at the sources where they came. Most people don't even know what the word is. It came from an essential, I'll show you. Kakab Nibiru, meaning Kakab was a planetary body, a celestial body. And they put that in front of every word that they were talking about was a planet or a celestial body, right? You can look back through it, and they literally said, you know, Zeos was their home star. Kakab Nibiru rotated around their home star. They gave us all of this, all right? And then if you look at this stupid shit, you see that all these goddamn fucking rotations are oblate, and over here they're stretched this way, meaning something's pulling them this way, right? You can just connect the dot and see that if you wanted to, that there is probably a very big oblate object. Right here, there's an object that is elliptical in orbit. Right here, pulling these things that way. Okay? And they fucking put it on the other side at a rate 3 times slower than it needs to be for it to do any of this. Okay? Now explain to me why, when the center of gravity between these two objects is over here, then why everything would be pulling this way? Why would anything be pulled this way? They fucking gave you a bullshit excuse. They drew the known rotations of the planets and then gave a fucking fake explanation of this is how it happens, okay? They drew a circle through the center of all these other fucked up circles and put the planet on the opposite side of our sun that it needs to be on at a rate of like 10,000 years per revolution, which is insane. It would literally have entered it in an astrograv, and it pulls everything on the opposite side. And when it gets there, everything gets like clustered up into a big ball in the center, because literally this thing, as it travels from here to there, it goes super fucking slow. All these other ones are moving at a rate way much faster, much faster, much faster. So once they get near it, it all just balls up right there. They completely gave us a false explanation. This is based off of mathematical fucking interpretations that do not use Kepler's laws of planetary motion, and that doesn't use, they didn't figure in a lot of the aspects of completely how the universe works with the electrical universe, essentially capacitors and conductors, and why these things are traveling out that far and coming back. It is because of its electrical charge. This is a circuit, okay? It is getting pulled back to discharge these fucking electrons and neutrons. People don't get protons. The whole aspect of it is an electrical discharge with our sun. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Do not fucking buy this at all. They gave you numbers based off numbers to give you another number. It's all fucking lies. So now when they can say, oh, it's predicted, they have you looking in the wrong fucking side of the sky, because anybody with half a fucking brain, and I don't mean this with any offense, but you look at that, everything's pink, it's pulled on the other side. You have a rope, you have anything, you have a hula hoop, you have a rubber band. You pull on between two objects, right? Tug of war. Whoever's stronger, it goes pulling towards that aspect. It's not a fucking hard idea. If this little orange thing was causing all these planetary orbits and distresses, then they'd be on this side. They would be pulled over here. They wouldn't be fucking stretched out, goddamn huge amount of space in this direction, right? And if I drew that orbit on there, wait, I might be able to do that. Let's go ahead and see if I can do that. I don't want to share. Well, we gotta wait for it now. There's a way for me to make, oh, right there. I don't know why I didn't put that. Okay, we'll wait for it to come back. Right here. Make a web note. Give me a marker. I said give me a marker, big red one, so it makes people happy. Look, this is all they had to do. Essentially, is this orbit right here. Your brain shows you. It shows you that is where the things are pulling them from. Something over here. Okay, so upon its entrance, it pulls these objects this way. And upon its exit, it pulls these objects this way. Okay, this over here. Imagine stress lines on any of these objects. See if I can just exit, undo, do it again. I have no idea what just happened to me. But the point of it being is you guys see that your brain common sense tells you that the forces of nature do not work that way. Okay, so here, let's go. Planet George. William Herschel discovers Uranus, the first planet not known to the ancients. He tried to name his discovery Georgium Sidus, in honor of England's King George, but the official name chosen by the scientific community was Uranus, after the god of the sky in Greek mythology. 1781. I beg to differ, because the Sumerians did, in fact, know about Uranus. They did know everything about it and how it looked on its approach from the solar system, from the outside of our solar system. They called that like planet 2 or 3 or 4. I can't remember. I think it was 3. It was like the third one in. Like, you know what I mean? It was like the second or third one. I can't. Anyways, at that time, they considered it, because they're not counting from the sun out, they're counting from Pluto in. Okay, but mathematical planet. So here, after Urbain Le Verrier, the John Couch Adams used mathematical calculations to predict the orbit of the planet beyond Uranus. J.G. Gale discovers the distant ice giant with a telescope. Gale tries to name the planet after Leverrier, but the scientific community chose to name it of the Roman god of the sea. Neptune, Enki, Poseidon, the Lord of the earth. Anytime it spoke of the Lord in the Bible, they spoke of Enki and not his brother. Okay, that's what people don't understand. Why did why destroy this country but appear in a burning bush? Why do this and that? Why contradict yourself so many fucking times, right? Why to have people confused? Because you took the word Elohim and every conjunction that it was with itself and made it singular, even though all the words that go with it identify it as plural, and we understand that the word is itself plural, and Elohim refers to the Anunnaki. It refers to this creator race, the progenitors of us, okay? Not the creator of all, not the God. Gods in the sense that we see them, but God, not the God and the all, the source of all, which cannot be subtracted from, multiplicated to, or anything. Okay? This divine source is the source of everything, and there's nothing outside of it. That would be a complete paradox. For us so to say that there's a force against our God is completely paradoxical and should be not spoken of, because that right there is the idea of the Luciferian experiment. That is the separation of consciousness from source. And it always ends the same way, okay? So for anybody that's sitting there preaching to me, telling me about spirits, this, that, and the other, and their spiritual side, and Satan, devil, this, that, and so, the idea was, it was created by the Persians, right? They were giving a representation of the idea that the devil grows in the hearts of the selfish and wicked. It is greed. It is fucking anger. It is evil. incarnate. They're giving it the idea that it grows in the hearts of men. Okay? And nobody is restricted or outside of that influence. Okay? Because it is morality. Okay? Don't be such a savage, right? Pluto's turn. Clyde Tombaugh discovers tiny Pluto while searching for a predicted planet beyond the orbit of Neptune. The world initially classified as a planet was named the Roman god of the underworld, Pluto, reclassified as a dwarf planet in 2006. They did this because of this. They're explaining the whole course and case and action, right? They noticed bodies in our solar system. They wanted to know what was behind them because they used Kepler's law of planetary motion and everything to predict the movements of these planets. The planets were not showing up where they should be, so they knew there was an unseen effect on them, okay? And they kept finding more planets. That's how they found any of these, okay? That they found them because they were searching for this unknown variable, this unknown force, this unknown gravitational, electromagnetic, very, very, very powerful force out there. Okay? Now, there was a disturbance in the force. Astronomers Chad Trujillo and Scott Shepard suggest a small planet might be responsible for the unique orbits of some small bodies in the covered belt beyond the orbit of Neptune. A new planet. Astronomers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown present mathematical computational models that suggest a Neptune-sized planet may exist in the far reaches of our solar system. The nickname of the predicted world would be Planet 9 and encourage few fellow astronomers to start hunting for the unseen world. That's where people need to understand. Okay? They predict earthquakes because of the alignment with Uranus, and the sun with our planet, okay? I've showed you guys that in an earlier video. I showed you that I could predict days, years and years ahead of the time, on which we're going to have very fucking bad earthquakes. I could just, it's that easy. I'm not a fucking muse. I'm not a goddamn prophet. Nothing. I have a brain, and I understand how it works, okay? So you get three things in a line, the forces line up. It is a circuit. It is electrical in every sense of the word. If you have two wires, right? Two bodies, two objects in space, right? One's rotating around another, vice versa. There's going to be a time where it lines up. But if it's rotating around something, there's going to be a time where all three of them line up. And when that happens, the capacitor, the sun, right? This thing that is spreading this electrical energy is in connection with us and in conjunction with this other planetary body that's in conjunction with who knows what else, right? A dead star, maybe. We can predict earthquakes. And I've actually done that, showed you. You can even triangulate them. That's why I told you earlier this year, if I'm right, that Italy, Chile, and Australia, like around New Zealand, Australia, would suffer from earthquakes. And we all know Chile gets them, but Italy, no. New Zealand, not really famous. None of these places are really famous for it. So, I mean, I think that adds to it. Anybody can predict a hurricane or a fucking earthquake in Japan, in Fukushima. That doesn't take a fucking brilliant man to figure out. You know, they should have seen it coming, but the point being, I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm not a fucking snowflake other in the sense that I am me and I can see things for what they are. I have no agenda. No reason to benefit. I just want to share. I want people to see what I see. But I don't want them to be so goddamn ignorant, okay? Because ancient man desperately trying to tell us this. Let's get back to the point. So wait. They're wanting you to look to a certain point in the sky. And what did I show you? What did I show you about the sky? They want us to look in the opposite side of the fucking sky. They want you to look over around here. Let me get my web notes up again. They want you to look at this area, right? But we notice that, whatever it is probably coming in from the opposite side. So everybody stare and look at the wrong fucking side of the sky. And please constantly watch the wrong side of the sky. You like the word Planet X, you like the word Planet 9, you like to look this stuff up on the internet, keywords, this, that, and the other. Well, we're going to have you looking. We're going to make you feel part of it. We're going to have you be a part of finding Planet X. Because we're going to have you looking in the wrong fucking part of the sky where we know there's another planet, a dwarf planet, or something that is not a fucking specific planet that was coming from Sagittarius and Orion that we've been watching since time immemorial, since records began. Have we watched this thing? And now you want to tell me it doesn't exist? That's stupid. You're going to get people to look in the opposite side of the fucking sky and believe it because they gave you a bunch of numbers or you have a degree, whatever. Why do you think none of these other self-respecting fucking people don't talk about it, but these two jackasses? It's because we put a bunch of numbers into a computer, and computer says this is the answer. Well, that I don't give a shit about that, okay? Because if you would just look at the fucking knowledge that has been given to us for so many fucking years, you would see that there is not an illusion. This is not a psyop. They are crazy people out there. There are Nancy leaders telling people to go put their dogs to sleep, saying the Planet X is coming tomorrow, go kill your fucking dogs, have your cats put to sleep. There are people out there doing that. There are people like Marshall Masters that their book company releases what is known as the Colburn Bible the same time, the same year, about a year before Masters ever writes any of his books saying surviving the Planet X tribulation, this, that, and the other, through the same publishing company. And he changed it from the what we know as the Chaldeans, the Chaldeans, like I showed you, I've shown a video on this, to the Chaldean Trust. They literally, he warped words, played on words, because there is a real thing called the Colburn, but it wasn't called the Colburn Bible. And it was held by the Chaldean Trust, the Chaldeans, these black monks, okay? But there's like 30 copies, that's the idea of it is the Colburn Bible is not the Colburn. I completely think that that is fake. It's fucking made up. It's twisted. It's lied. It is full shit. Okay? Because if you just look at how the sources are murky and every time they mention something new, and then you look to directly source that with where they got their knowledge, it's like, they give you a fucking example. They never say that, well, this is where it came from. It says that, oh, well, you can follow the paper trail back to this because of this, and then that's because of this, but only because of this. And it only gives you like half answers. Like, well, how did your book company come into your publishing company? Come into its possession a year before you have to write any books about the Planet X tribulation, and just happen to publish it, put it out there, and cite it and seed it into books with written copyrights, meaning they writ the copyrights earlier than that was actually written and printed. Why would you do that? It adds solidarity, fake evidence to a goddamn real thing, okay? To discredit the true one. And when there's two copies of something, blam. Nobody knows which was it. But the point of this being is I got really heated when I seen that they were actually going to use this paper to do this. Had to edit out my screen there for a second. It's a lot to take in, but I mean, I've been studying the pyramids since I was a child. And I mean, they're 8-sided pyramids. Most people don't even know that. They're 8 sides because as soon as the sun goes as far east as it can go, and it's only there for one day on the equinox, they tilted the pyramid just with that. So as the sun at its furthest east point, it would line up just perfect with this, so it would cast and break a shadow up and show you that the pyramids were eight-sided. Okay? They say that, you know, this, that, and the other, but when you really think about that creepy shit, think about it. It's on your money. It's staring you in the face. You carry it around every day. It's what you work for. It is what you work with, and it is what you desire. Okay? Everything about this is in your everyday life, seated there, okay? It is put there. Now you're telling me that these people don't know what that means, what it did, and what it was used for? You're telling me that they weren't celebrating some kind of enlightenment? But anyways, the motions of Uranus and Neptune cannot be adequately represented within the present gravitational model of the solar system. Pluto cannot have any detectable effect on these two planets. There is, therefore, a good possibility that there is at least one undetected planet in our outer solar system, and now possible to set some constraints on where the planet might be. The observations used in this study were taken from the compilations of positional determinations available through 1982 for each planet of interest. These observations are quite varied in nature and source and include both visual and photographic determinations. The Uranus observations go back to 1833 and Neptune ones to 1846. These compilations were supplied by the Nautical Almanac Office of the U.S. Naval Observatory. They consist of observed positions of Uranus and Neptune along with the residuals and the right ascensions and declinations from positions computed from DE 200, Standish, 1982, 8b. The residuals were first converted to residuals in the ecliptic plane, the great circle, and latitude as a statistical approximation. This is not correct. Since these data are not statistically independent, however, for the present analysis, this makes no difference and this greatly facilitates the subsequent comparison with numerical simulations. These residuals were combined into seasonal normal points, producing an average geocentric residual spaced slightly more than a year apart. These residuals were assumed to be adequate representations of the equivalent heliocentric average residuals for the observed oppositions. There are usually enough observations per opposition with enough balance pre and post opposition that small systematic errors within each observation should tend to cancel out in the average. Meaning, if they do their calculations right, the high numbers and the low numbers will actually cancel out because they use an average of both of them, and it will not flux at all because all the numbers are real, okay? The exception would be that in the mean, the heliocentric residual should be at most a few percent smaller in magnitude, an effect that will well below the noise level with each normal point. In any case, these short period differences do not affect the long-term period effects being sought, meaning these tiny little indiscrepancies that could come from any mathematical computational error by using averages does not make up for the huge expanse in numbers. The data could not be fucked up. It could not be misinterpreted or misread as this. The Pioneer probes, Voyager probes, these $1 million space probes they sent out to look for your second sun and your sister planet that causes cataclysms about every 13,000 years like clockwork. This is what it was for, okay? Let me read. And I'm sorry that I got nerved up about this, but I haven't put out many Planet X videos for a while, and it just gets me going. You can't denote the fucking past evidence just because somebody new comes out with something. You can't discredit everything that came before you just because somebody new made something that kind of clicked with you, or you trusted them because you feel inferior in your mind to them. With just regular thought, determination, and a goddamn thesaurus, you can do this shit. Anybody can go out there and read a word that they don't know, understand that word and its full meaning, and go back to the original paragraph, plug it into the source, and understand the sentence, okay? And go on and go on and go on. Yes, it might take you a long time to do that, But that's called reading and understanding, okay? So if you're going to do it, understand it, instead of putting out a bunch of bullshit garbage, okay? I paraphrase, I read it, and I give you the source. I let you think about it, okay? So never, ever, ever do I discredit anybody for not agreeing with me. But do I fucking put people down for not researching me or making fun of fucking little words that I say here and there? If I say, like some asshole just said, oh, I said nuclear. I was like, yeah, the only time I've ever said nuclear was because I was talking and fucking paraphrasing people that pretend to know what the hell they're talking about. Any other time, I read it as nuclear and Uranus, whatever. I say it both ways. You don't have to make fun of my pronunciations or enunciations. Look at the data, make fun of the data if you want to, right? Make fun of these scientists that spent their whole life doing something and then died doing it. However, it is important to give enough weight to early observations to give them some significance in the solution for long period effects. Therefore, the weights were based on merely on the square root of the number of observations per normal. A few tests indicated the consideration is not significant for the final results. Item of interest for the present analysis is the perturbation in the orbit of the known planet, produced by the presence of an unknown planet, planet X. X can be thought of as either representing the unknown or the number 10. Hence, the equations of the motion are cast in the form of the motions of the residuals and the rectangular coordinates from numerical work. This is known as Encke's method. Encke, Poseidon, Neptune. Right? We all know the story. For the description follows, here come Brouwer and Clements. The methods relies on the fact that it is being applied only to the orbits of Uranus and Neptune. These planets are sufficiently distant but move sufficiently slowly and are perturbed sufficiently. Little that all vectors representing planetary positions, whether known or unknown, but assumed as they appear in derivations of the perturbations, can be represented by approximate vectors. Meaning, these planets are big enough and travel slow enough in their rotations for us to actually see that they're not where they should be if there wasn't something there. Like, meaning, if the known existing model of our solar system is correct, then they shouldn't do this. So they know for a fact that our model is known, our fucking understanding is flawed, and it's why they downgraded Pluto, because then they'd have to count in 200 exoplanets as planets. And who wants to change every book that's handed out to your children? Who wants to change it every year as they discover new ones? Who wants to update this information? Is it easier to teach kids about 8 or 9 planets or 210? Okay, the number is really probably like 500 and some if you want to count Pluto as a planet. And just in our solar system, you want to explain that to children? No, they don't want to explain that to children. I do, but whatever, right? We're not going into that. For assumed planet X orbits, two-body motion is assumed. For Uranus and Neptune, the low-precision formulas are given by Van Flandern and Pluniken are employed, meaning, if you look at that paper and use the mathematical equations given in that paper and plug in the numbers, the variance for that equation from this paper, you will get the same math. Additional assumptions are the perturbations are sufficiently small that expansions in them only required through first order, and that the mass of the perturbed planet need not be included in the solar gravitational constant, representing the principal term in the acceleration of the perturbation. Both of them have been numerically verified. The result of this development is a set of relatively simple equations of motion that can be integrated very quickly for a given orbit of planet X. A reintegration of the entire outer solar system is not needed for each test case. Indeed, only positions of the perturbing and perturbed planets are required. Meaning, if you want to guess where this thing's at, you can plug in those two and solve for those two, because they're the only ones we're watching the disturbance in, meaning this thing's close to them. And the other planets aren't being affected by it yet because they're not near those planets. If the other planets came in and these little perturbations were enough for them to perturb and have a domino effect on the other planets that they were observing at that time, through the scale at that distance, would have no effect. That's not considering the fact that the orbits could be elliptical and crossing, as which we know it is what? The planet of the crossing. All right, to be specific, that symbol will be the vector of the perturbations of the observed planet caused by planet X from the vector of R, or the predicted positions of the observed planet based on the known gravitational model of our solar system, the actual vector of observations, the real data, what we do know. And so you can plug in this planet X, let that symbol be the gravitational constant of the sun, and be that of planet X. The equation for the motion for the perturbation vector can therefore be written as followed. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this, and let me pull up part 2 of that. The given solutions give a present position close to the one given by Powell. A further consideration here is the complete Lau planetary survey. After discovering Pluto, Tombaugh continued looking for any additional planets for another 13 years, covering a good portion of the northern sky to approximately the 16th magnitude. You can see Tombaugh and Moore, 1980, for a complete description of the Lau survey. While it is perfectly possible that he could have overlooked the planet, for a variant of reasons, the indications are that his search was quite thorough. From this alone, it can be suggested that the probability that the planet is in the north is quite low. The quasi-quantitative results here support this conclusion, therefore, not as a best solution, but as a typical and good case. The following nominal orbit. Right above are the arguments and the inclination, the mass right here. So every time you see this symbol with the cross through it, that is Earth. So that's 4 Earth masses. They're saying that the planet is 4 Earth masses, has a rotational period of about 1,000 years. It is very elliptic in orbit, and it has an absolute magnitude of -6, meaning that's the magnitude scale, the brightness, how we can see it. And that's an assumed number. Okay. So what he's saying is the above gives the positions in 1930 between the 14th and 15th of the -41 degrees. Okay, meaning it is coming in at a degrees of about 40 degrees incline. Okay. The present position is now 16 hours, -38 degrees, magnitude 14. Any search use the above as a starting point to cover the broad region, right? I'd like to thank blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so he was there looking, photographing, and finding this system. Okay, Hale Bopp obviously wasn't causing those perturbations, but they were looking at Hale Bopp. You can prove this, you can see this, and you can look through other papers, all right? The whole point of it is, I believe that Hale Bopp was the Wormwood, or one of these things that was supposed to strike. Okay, it didn't. Things changed, something happened, whatever it was, but that was the Wormwood of the Bible. I want to say that had, I mean, it doesn't, people shouldn't be sad that this thing isn't going to kill us all, right? People shouldn't be sad that we didn't get struck by something back in like 1997 when this thing was supposed to hit. We found it 2 years before. I mean, everything about this in the aspect of prophecy and that concernment of it, like you can look at Ragnarok, you can look at the Hopi prophecy, you look at all of it. I mean, the blue Kachina, this blue star, comes crashing down into the public square, and then it takes off its masks, and then a red star comes and burns the fucking earth, pulls the water out of the tidal basins, and completely cleanses the earth with a day of purification, right? I mean, you look through all these things, they talk about the same thing, and they're talking about a world, the end of the world, the 4th world, right? The 3rd world. What people don't understand is those worlds have to do exactly with the precession of the equinox, just as everything else. All right. All major religions tie back to the zodiacal calendar, which is derived from a 26,000-year cycle through the Earth's axis through the zodiacal houses, where they're split into 4 sections of 6,500 years, and they're considered worlds by any and all of the ancient cultures. Each of these worlds have a creator, savior, and destroyer. The first age of human history was the age of the goat, the creator, followed by the archer, savior, Orion, and the scorpion, the destroyer. Okay. You go through, you can say that the Sphinx was built as a marker between the Virgin and the Lion, right? So halfway through, 13,000 years ago, at about 10,500 BC or so, that was the time it was marking. It could have been marking this shift into the destroyer age, right? Into the age of the destroyer, into the age of the cataclysm that they all suffered, okay? Point being is, if you can take that even further, I can show you. Bull, Baal, Moloch worship, right? 2,000 years ago, you go into the ram worship. You go into the Hebrew worship, the ram's horn, okay? They get left behind through the procession. The Crusades happen, and blam, everybody worships the fish, the savior, okay? So here was the creator, right? Or no, the destroyer, which was of the last civilization, right? The creator of the new, the savior of the new. So Jesus, the savior, Hebrews created that religion, take it from the sense. And then the age of Aquarius, the age of our destroyer, is the age of water, the age of Aquarius. So you can say that essentially, since human religions started, we've went through these 12 houses, 13th being the first, and the last, the rebirth, the rejuvenation, the bad self-eater, the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. The 13, it's symbolizing rebirth, rejuvenation, and the cycle being completed, okay? Every 13,000 years, you can look back through, there's been a huge cataclysm throughout history. About 26,000 years ago to 13,000 years ago, Hawaii was the North Pole of the world. And you can look at that within the magnetic ley lines of the, or the magnetic alignments in the stones of the earth and volcanic ash and things like that. But this is a big clock of 26,000 years because of our wobble that goes through. And every one of these religions, they were never aware that they were just a part of a bigger religion, a bigger illuminated circle, a bigger cycle, and they were just pieces and parts and worshipers of that, instead of understanding what they were worshiping, the cycles they were worshiping, and understanding the origin of their teachings, okay? And that's why the fish, the Pisces, this Jesus fish, that will be gone. The ram's horn, anybody that follows that will be left behind, okay? And then the age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius, the age of the destroyer, nonetheless. That destroys society how it was and rebuilds it. These cycles had an actual annotation to what was going on, right? This is like the best clock of this you could show. And there's been people that I'd like to note in here. On June 29th, 2008, an author by the name of Brandon Levin began posting threads on comments to Above Top Secret. It kicked off a series of bad events from him, from his computer being stolen, his house seized by the city and demolished after the release of his second book, his car being towed away, and search threads and posts were mysteriously removed from sites, and much more. Okay, so that guy, I want to give credit to, because he was writing a lot about this. He was sharing a lot about this with 2 books about it, actually, and had a lot of stuff done to him, because I couldn't find too much of the information where he was getting it, where it was at, and how come people weren't learning about this, because it clicked with me. It made total sense. Zodiacal houses, the Anunnaki speak of this. I mean, the ancient texts talk all about this. So, yeah. We're coming into the age of enlightenment for the Golden Dawn, or the age of the destroyer, depending on how you want to look at it. But either way, this is the age of Aquarius we're coming into, out of the age of the fish. And from this, a new religion will rise. Probably the New Age movement. I don't know what to tell you, but that's what happens. Water will be their symbol, okay? Call me a crazy, but watch what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Sorry about my rant, and now I got to go to work.